Now, coming clean politically, I don't know if you guys know much about me. I share probably a decent amount of politics with Hasan. Not everything. I'm not a socialist. I like making money. I'm a CEO here. But, some other maybe more social issues, sure. I'm also not even friends with Hasan. Legitimately, I'm not. He's not someone that I invite to, like, my birthday or things like that. He's someone I've done streams with, and I think they were fun. He's a streamer friend is the group I call. But we're not boys. My boys are Slime, Aiden, Nick, the people that I hang out with actually on a week-to-week basis. When I retire, I will never speak to 95% of the streamers I collab with again. Hasan is part of that group. That's a fact. This is just the reality of life. Okay? Connor, I'm an actual friend. Connor, I would actually speak with after. But most streamers, I wouldn't. It's just true. They wouldn't go to my funeral. I wouldn't go to their funeral. We would never speak again. The same thing that you would experience if you ever worked. Like a job and then retired from said job or moved on to a different job. Do I think Hasan shocks his dog? I have no clue. I think he lied about having a shock collar. I think he 100% had a shock collar based off what's on my For You page. Maybe I'm getting psyoped. He's adamant that he hasn't shocked her. But that 100% is a shock collar, as a fact. I feel like that's 100% a shock collar. But I got no clue. And I think when you come in and you say, oh no, you're going to get the Hasan call now, I think like you are like genuinely pathetic. Like you are still pretending to live in a universe where it is like brave to speak out against Hasan, as if that is not like the popular side to be on. Truly, I think it's pathetic.
There is a peculiar kind of honesty that sometimes emerges not from confession, but from fatigue. It is the honesty of someone who has finally grown tired of performing connection, tired of maintaining the illusion that proximity equals intimacy. When Ludwig spoke candidly about his relationship with Hasan Piker and the nature of online friendship, what surfaced was not merely a political divergence, but revelation about the way we all now live, surrounded by people, adored by strangers, and yet profoundly, achingly alone. His words carried that unmistakable tone of someone attempting to reconcile two incompatible instincts, the desire to belong and the equally powerful need to preserve one's autonomy. He was not angry, he was pragmatic. And in that pragmatism lay something deeply contemporary, a subtle sadness that belongs to a generation that has learned to monetize every aspect of its being, even its affection. What unfolded in that moment was not a scandal, nor even a betrayal. It was a mirror held up to the structure of modern relationships, professional, political, emotional, and the way they fracture under the weight of constant exposure. The performance of conviction. To say one is not a socialist in a room that expects solidarity is, in our era, an act of quiet rebellion. But Ludwig's rebellion wasn't ideological. It was existential. His declaration was less about policy than about energy, about the exhaustion of maintaining a moral posture in a world where every belief is scrutinized, categorized, and weaponized. There is something almost tender in his self-awareness. He admits to liking success, to enjoying the fruits of labor and chance. In this, he breaks with a kind of cultural piety that demands guilt for every form of privilege. He is not apologizing for his ambition. He is simply acknowledging that, for him, wealth feels less like sin and more like security. And perhaps that honesty, the willingness to say, I like the life I've built without apology, is more radical than any ideological purity could be. This is not a story about political divergence. It's about the quiet courage of authenticity. In an environment that rewards outrage and conformity in equal measure, to admit that one's moral compass points toward self-preservation is to commit a minor heresy. It is to whisper, I am human, in a world that demands sainthood. Digital kinship and its discontents. Ludwig's reflection on his friendship with Hasan carries a different kind of resonance, one that pierces through the veneer of influencer camaraderie. His distinction between friends and streamer friends is deceptively simple, but beneath it lies a profound commentary on the architecture of modern connection. The internet has democratized fame, but diluted intimacy. It has given us endless access to one another, yet rendered our bonds transactional. To collaborate is to coexist temporarily. To share a screen is to simulate friendship. The warmth feels real in the moment, but when the lights dim and the content fades into archives, the connection dissolves like a mirage. What Ludwig articulated, perhaps without intending to, is the truth that haunts our hyperconnected age, that most of the people we interact with daily, colleagues, mutuals, collaborators, even acquaintances who feel familiar, exist only in the frame of our productivity. They are companions of circumstance, not of essence. When the shared goal evaporates, so too does the illusion of closeness. There is no cruelty in this, only clarity. He was naming something most of us already feel but rarely articulate, that the bonds forged in digital spaces are often conditional. We mistake proximity for intimacy, shared screens for shared lives. But when the performance ends, we return to our smaller orbits, our true circles, where affection is unmediated by metrics. The politeness of disenchantment. What strikes me most about Ludwig's tone is not detachment, but grace. He does not dramatize the distance between himself and others in his world. He accepts it as natural. There is no bitterness, only a weary understanding that not every collaboration births friendship, and not every friendship survives commodification. This acceptance feels almost spiritual. It echoes an older wisdom, that not every soul we meet is meant to walk beside us forever, that some connections are simply situational. To resist that reality is to suffer. To accept it is to grow. His acknowledgement that he will one day retire and lose contact with nearly everyone he works with is devastatingly honest. It's the kind of truth people in traditional professions whisper only in moments of midlife reflection. But here, it's spoken by a man whose entire life has unfolded in real time before an audience. That he can see through the illusion while still inside, it reveals a startling self-awareness, the kind that usually arrives only after the applause fades. The economics of affection. There is something poetic about the way Ludwig speaks of money and friendship in the same breath. In doing so, he inadvertently exposes the shared logic between the two. Both in our current moment are currencies, mutable, performative, and endlessly surveilled. Wealth, like connection, must now be demonstrated to be believed. Online, generosity becomes content, humility becomes branding. The private enjoyment of success feels almost illicit, as though fulfillment must always be accompanied by self-critique. To say, "I like making money," is not greed. It is a reclamation of agency in a world that treats prosperity as suspect unless it is wrapped in guilt. This discomfort with abundance runs deep. It's the residue of a moral system that equates virtue with struggle. But perhaps what Ludwig is saying, beneath the casual tone, is that there's a form of spirituality in comfort too. The ability to create, to rest, to provide, these are not sins. They are privileges, yes, but also achievements. And to disavow them entirely in the name of ideology would be to deny the joy of one's own effort. The myth of the political friendship. The internet loves binaries, left and right, woke and cynical, ally and adversary. But what Ludwig exposes, gently and perhaps unintentionally, is the impossibility of true political friendship in an environment governed by performance. For two people to maintain a friendship in public while embodying divergent ideologies requires a delicacy that the online world rarely permits. The audience demands purity, consistency, alignment. It has little tolerance for contradiction, and friendship, real friendship, is built on contradiction. It thrives in the spaces where agreement fails and affection persists. Ludwig seems to understand this intuitively. His refusal to overstate his bond with Hassan is not coldness, it is honesty about the limits of performative kinship. There is affection, yes, and mutual respect, perhaps. But there's also the recognition that they occupy different constellations of meaning, that one's life is built on philosophical conviction, and the other's on pragmatic curiosity. To blur that distinction would be disingenuous. The digital funeral. One of the most haunting images in Ludwig's reflection is the acknowledgement that, when this chapter of his life ends, most of the people he has worked alongside will disappear from his orbit. They will not attend his funeral, nor he theirs. It's a statement that lands like a sigh rather than an accusation. There's no malice in it, only a kind of existential realism that feels distinctly 21st century.